I've spent 8 years making content on YouTube, and almost nothing I've posted has led to real results for my business. The problem with my content wasn't the hook, it wasn't the thumbnail, it wasn't the editing, it wasn't the camera that I was filming with. The issue was that I didn't understand what my content was actually supposed to do. Over 8 years, I posted 254 videos, and it was actually to this exact channel. They're all unlisted at the moment, but in that period, I got about 100,000 views. Most of that 100K views came from 2 shout outs that came from a huge YouTube channel that I used to work for back in the day. When those shout outs weren't happening, I was getting almost 0 views on everything I posted. This is the trap that most business owners fall into when they're creating content. They never ask the question, what is my content actually for? Everyone knows they should be making content, so people jump on and they start making videos, but when they don't see any results from it, they're confused because it's what they're supposed to be doing. And it took me about 8 years to realize this, but what I've landed on is that every piece of content has one of 3 jobs. It can either get attention, it can build trust, or it can drive action. It's that simple. If you don't understand what the role of your content is, then it's never going to succeed. It doesn't matter how good your hooks are, how good your editing is. If you're not clear on that job, the content is never going to work. I'm going to walk you through the 3 jobs of content, the 6 mistakes that I was making when I didn't understand them, and how to determine what job your content should be doing before you ever hit record. So when you make a piece of content, you shouldn't be looking at the content itself as the final output. You should think of it more like an employee that you're creating to go out and do one of 3 jobs. It either has to gain attention, build trust, or lead to an action. See, if you're not clear on what the job of the content actually is, then it's failed before you've even recorded. This is the thing that I was missing in my own content for like 8 years. But when I've worked with brands, businesses, and other creators who have made that shift and started to be able to answer that question, that is what changes everything. And this is exactly why I believe most of the advice, social media advice out there just doesn't work, because it's all focused on the execution side of things in terms of how to write a good hook, how to produce content, how to automate your workflow. But to me, none of that matters if you don't have the foundation laid out first. And that's exactly why I could get 100,000 views on YouTube and not make any money from it. See, I was creating selfishly. I would create content that interested me, but I would be publishing just this random shit that had no real purpose, which meant that no one had a positive outcome that come from that content. No trust was built, so there was no reason for them to come back, let alone buy anything that I was trying to sell off the back of my content. So there was no clear answer to 2 fundamental questions that you need to ask before you create anything. Who is this content for? And what problem does it solve? Without being able to answer those questions, you have no clear purpose for your content, which means that when viewers come across it, there's no real clear reason for them to click. And if they do click, there's no clear outcome to them. There's nothing that they can take away from the video that's going to lead to some kind of positive outcome or change for them, which means there's no trust built, which lessens the chance that they're going to come back and watch more of your content, and even less chance, almost impossible, that they'll ever want to buy from you. And instead of fixing the foundation, I kind of made things worse. And instead of trying to focus on what actually made good content, I tried to make my content look good. So it was back around 2017, and there was this trend in sort of the vlogging space where this more cinematic, highly produced style vlog content was really starting to take off. Like Peter McKinnon, for example. I was watching him way before he blew up. I was there one of his first uploaded videos. He probably had 3 videos on his channel when I first come across him, and I would watch every single thing he posted. And then this circle of creators started to pop up around him where every video was mad, filmed beautifully. There was drone shots, epic B-roll, you know, these really highly produced sequences. It was mad, and I became obsessed with it. Now, to be fair, I picked up a lot of technical skills during this time, and I created a lot of content that creatively I'm very proud of. And that's fine if creating videos is just a hobby, but I'm trying to build a business. I was obsessing over the cameras, lenses, lighting, editing tricks, color grading, all of this stuff that can enhance content, but it's not what actually makes the content itself good. Having this overly complicated production process meant that I was investing way more time and energy into creating every individual piece of content. So when the time come around for me to actually post it and it got fuck all views, now I'm pissed off and frustrated, and it took me way longer to post again because I wanted to make sure I had the perfect idea and then the perfect execution of that idea. And because I hadn't got clear on the purpose of the content, I had no way to actually measure what good performance actually was. And so when it come time to look at the data, I didn't really know what I was looking at, and I was focusing on the wrong things. The default metric that I was looking at, and that I see a lot of people look at when they're just getting started, is looking at the metrics that feel good for the ego. So views and subscribers / followers, the wrong place to start. See, if the job of my content was to get attention, then I should have been looking at click-through rate, for example. If the goal was to build trust, I should have been looking at viewer retention and how many returning viewers are coming back and watching my content. If the goal was to drive a specific action, I should have been looking at metrics like click-throughs to the next video I'm trying to get them to watch, or to my website, email list, whatever it was. Because there was no clear objective, that data just became noise. It didn't mean anything. And this led on to the fifth mistake, which was probably arguably the biggest considering where I was at. It was completely ignoring the packaging of my content. There were plenty of times where I poured weeks, sometimes even months, into making one video, and I'd finally get it done and upload it and get ready to publish. And the final thing that I would do every time is create a title and thumbnail. It was always an afterthought. But the problem here is that the title and the thumbnail, the packaging of the content, especially on YouTube, is the most important part. It tells the viewer what this video is going to do for them and if it's relevant to them. If it is, they'll click. If not, they go away. If I had understood this back then, it would have forced me to make content that has a clear purpose, because if you write a really clear title, now you have a framework already built in to build your whole video around. See, when people talk about value in content, it's that clarity on what the outcome is going to be. And I didn't understand that starts at packaging. Where I thought you really communicate that value is just packing as much information into a video as possible. And this was mistake number 6. I was saying too much. Because I wasn't treating the content as something that had a very specific job to do, I just thought that it needs to do everything at once. So instead of answering one question or solving one really specific problem really effectively, I just threw in as much as I could. Every detail, every related topic, I would just throw as much information in there as possible. But this meant that it's harder to kind of keep track of what's going on, so that kills retention. And then by the end of it, there's no real clear answer for the viewer. They just get a surface level insight into a bunch of different, maybe related shit, but no real clear outcome of the video. The thing I didn't understand is that good content does one of those 3 jobs really effectively at a time. It doesn't try and do all 3 at once. You're not trying to reach, build trust, and convert people with one piece of content. It's a journey. You got to take them through the process, keep showing up, get them to come back. And over time, you build that trust, which leads to them taking action. So again, you can avoid all 6 of these mistakes by understanding the 3 different jobs that your content should achieve. You're either trying to get attention, which is reach. You're either trying to build trust, which is creating value, solving problems, and making people want to come back and keep watching and listening to what you have to say. Or you're trying to inspire some kind of action, whether that's watch more of your content, sign up to your email list, or maybe it's buy from you. And here's the thing, you need to do those 3 things in that specific order, because there's no point trying to get people to buy from you if they've never seen you before. They don't trust you, and you can't build trust with people who haven't even seen you yet. You need to get attention first. So you need to do those 3 steps in order. And luckily, I believe there's a really simple way to do it. And in this video, I actually break down a really simple 3-phase structure that you can use. So if you want to learn more, watch this video next.